We're about to dive into something that, not too long ago, was pure science fiction. We're talking about brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. And believe me, they are very, very real.
Okay, just for a second, picture this. Imagine you could control the world around you. A computer, a robotic arm, maybe even the words appearing on a screen.
And you could do it all with nothing but your thoughts. Seriously, this isn't some far-off futuristic dream anymore. This is the real and, frankly, mind-blowing world of BCIs. To really wrap our heads around how powerful this technology is, we've got to start not with the tech itself, but with a real human story.
So let's talk about Matt Nagel. After an injury left him paralyzed, his entire world was changed by this tiny little chip called BrainGate. It was implanted right into the part of his brain that controls movement. And get this, it allowed him to command a robotic arm just by thinking about moving his own. He could play a video game, he could change the channel on the TV, use a prosthetic hand. It was an absolutely massive breakthrough. It proved for the first time in such a clear way that a thought could be translated directly into action, restoring not just function, but a whole lot of hope.
Okay, so how in the world does this actually work? Let's pop the hood and see how this new kind of translator for the brain really operates.
All right, at its heart, a BCI is basically a translator for your brain. Every time you think or plan to make a movement, your brain cells, your neurons, are firing off these little electrical signals. They're having a conversation. A BCI listens in on that electrical chatter, decodes the patterns, and then turns them into commands that a device can actually understand. It completely bypasses the body's normal wiring and creates this direct link, straight from mind to machine.
Now, here's the thing. Not all BCIs are made the same. They pretty much fall into three big categories, and it all depends on how close they get to the brain. First, you have the non-invasive kind, like an EEG cap you wear on your head. Super safe, but the skull kind of muffles the signal. Then there's partially invasive, where devices sit just under the skull, getting a much clearer signal without actually poking into the brain. And then you've got the invasive BCIs, like the one Matt Nagel used. Tiny electrodes go right into the brain tissue. This gives you the absolute best, highest quality signal. But it also, as you can imagine, comes with the biggest risks. We're talking surgery and potential side effects like scar tissue.
And that right there illustrates the fundamental trade-off with BCIs. Think of it like this. You're trying to eavesdrop on a conversation in the next room. A non-invasive device, that's like pressing your ear against the wall. You can get the general idea, but it's pretty muffled. A partially invasive one is like cracking the door open, much, much clearer. But an invasive BCI, that's like being right there in the room with them. You hear every single word perfectly. So the closer you get, the better the signal, but the higher the stakes.
This technology might feel like it just bursts onto the scene overnight, but it's actually been built on the shoulders of giants. We're talking nearly 100 years of discovery.
The story really starts way back in 1924. That's when a guy named Hans Berger first recorded the faint electrical rhythms of the human brain. But it took until 1973 for scientist Jacques Vidal to officially propose what he called the BCI challenge, this idea of controlling things using only brain signals. Fast forward to 1998, and Johnny Ray, a man with locked-in syndrome, became one of the very first people to use an implant to move a cursor on a screen. And the pace? It's just getting faster and faster. Just last year, researchers hit these incredible new milestones in decoding when people were imagining sound.
And that brings us right here to today. The breakthroughs are happening so fast, it's hard to keep up, and they're pushing the absolute boundaries of what we thought was possible, and of course, raising some really profound questions about our future.
While the early focus was all about movement, today the applications are just exploding. We're seeing BCIs designed to restore speech for people who can't talk, to help stroke patients literally retrain their brains, even to send sensory information back to the brain. Imagine someone with a prosthetic limb being able to feel what they're touching. It's incredible. Researchers are even working on restoring a kind of sight for the blind.
If you want to understand just how powerful modern BCIs have become, just think about this number, 78. In 2023, a study showed that a BCI could translate a person's imagined speech into text at up to 78 words per minute. That is almost the speed of a natural conversation. For someone who has lost the ability to speak, that's not just an improvement, it's life-changing. But with all this incredible potential, well, it forces us to ask some really tough questions. As we get direct access to the most complex thing in the known universe, the human brain, we have to face some of the most complicated ethical challenges of our time.
And these aren't just abstract philosophical problems. We're talking about privacy. I mean, if a BCI can read my intended speech, what else can it read? What about security? What happens if a brain can be hacked? We have to think about fairness, about equity. Will this tech create a new social divide between the enhanced and, well, everyone else? And then there's the really deep stuff about identity. As we start to merge with machines, what does it even mean to be human? These are the conversations we absolutely need to be having right now.
All of this is leading us toward a future where, honestly, the lines between our biology and our technology are blurring way faster than any of us ever imagined.
You know, the path for BCIs seems to be following a road we've seen with other technologies. The first goal, the most important one, is about therapy. It's about repairing and restoring what's been lost to injury or disease. But as the tech gets better and more common, the conversation is, without a doubt, going to shift. It's going to shift towards enhancement, using BCIs not just to fix what's broken, but maybe to augment the abilities of perfectly healthy people.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question. This technology holds this incredible promise to heal us, to reconnect us. But as we create this direct, physical link between our own consciousness and the digital world, we really have to ask ourselves, where does the human end and where does the machine begin?